All right. Welcome, guys, to episode number 3. I'm here with Mark. He's known as Aurelius in football Twitter. Probably one of the most nicest guy I've seen in football Twitter. He's got some really, really cheeky tweets every now and then. He doesn't mind a laugh. But yeah, everyone, let's welcome Mark. Mark, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you doing today?
Very good, very good. It's Sunday, 9 a.m. in the morning. It looks like a very lovely day out there. So yeah, enjoying my Sunday. How about you, man? Enjoying the
No,
weekend?
I am. It's about 7 o'clock Eastern here, PM. It's like about 85 degrees. It's actually kind of warm today here, so it's been nice.
Wow, wow, nice, brilliant. All right, let's get this rock and rolling. Mark, we've got a really, really good topic lined up today. I thought the best person to talk to about this would be you as well. So the topic is the Great Divide. We've gone through this season with a lot of division in our fan base. We've had the Sarri ins, the Sarri outs. We've had the match goers versus the non-match goers. We've had philosophy versus pragmatism. So I want to talk about all of these things with you. We'll start off with the Sarri in and the Sarri out. What I want to hear from you is, break it down in your perspective. What do each of these people want, and what's your perception as well?
All right, yeah. I mean, as you know, this year has been trying to say the least with, just with the whole Sarri appointment. uh, for me, generally, I think, the Sarri in versus Sarri out. Chelsea has been known, playing pragmatic football for the last, at least decade, at least with Jose Mourinho. And then, even we've tried to hire some coaches, and even with Ancelotti, we played a more up-tempo, possession-based style. But, at least from what I see, instead of Chelsea has been, it seems like every season is almost in its own vacuum. You know what I mean? So, we'll do great one year and then we'll finish 10th. We'll do great one year, then we'll finish 5th. I think for a lot of people, the whole Sarri in was more of just an idea of, okay, we're going to move towards a style, and that's something we're going to implement. And regardless if we change managers or the players, at least with that, we will have a system in place and we'll be able to buy certain players, and it won't be so haphazard, in the way that we're run, and also just the way that we play. I think for a lot of Sarri out people, it takes an adjustment because it's very different from how we've played in the past and what's made us successful. In my estimation, it's more down to the players that we had more than just the style. I think if we had played like prime Barcelona with a lot of the players that we've had, we would have been just as successful, if not more. But, that's a topic for another day. But I think certain people, you just get caught into a style and they say, why change it? It's worked so well. There's no point in changing it. And there's some merit to that. We have won the league twice in the last, 4 years now. So you can see both sides. And, I try to say somewhat in the middle. Of course, I'm sorry in, but I understand both sides of the argument to say.
Fair enough, man. Completely understand. It's well articulated by you as well. I guess what I found really, really difficult this year was, you know, and you're right. Like I get why people might be sorry out and why people are sorry, and it's just how they can't manage to back the team and can't manage to back the manager. You can have a perspective, you can have a stance, but you should still go to the match and support whoever you've got. And I found that really, really frustrating this season. That even with the views that people have, you can't go to the match and be singing the chants that they've been singing in regards to Sarri, the F Sarri ball, and so on and so forth. What's your thoughts on that? I mean, there shouldn't be a place for that, right?
Yeah, I mean, any sporting event I've ever been to, I've never been one to boo my own team. I just don't find it to work. I don't see an issue with booing necessarily. It's not something that I would do. But as far as certain things, I mean, sometimes people think that just because they buy a ticket that allows them to abuse players or say certain things, and I don't think that's right. And there's a lot of hate for Sarri, but as you remember last year, there was a lot of hate for Conte on the other side. So, it was hard last year as well because, the team wasn't playing well. A lot of things have been said about Conte about sabotaging the team, and he didn't care. And to watch the football, it was extremely dire. But certain words were used with Conte, and it was like flip flop as it is this year. So I don't agree with it either way. I wanted Conte to leave at the end, but I wasn't. I was extremely unhappy when Willian did that. The emoji thing. Like, even though I wanted Conte gone, you still have to show some respect for the manager for what he's done for the club. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the way I see it.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sorry, I had it on mute. So yeah, no, you're right, man. I've always been the guy that, even when Mourinho was there, I've backed him. When Conte was there, I've backed him. When Ancelotti was there, I've backed every manager. Like, I've never seen. Yeah, I've had my opinions on them, that whether they could do this and that in a different way, but when a match started or throughout the season, I've always backed their decisions, and I've always said, let them figure out the way to, rectify any sort of tough situation. So, I don't know if I've ever seen such amount of hatred that I've seen this year, though, for a particular manager. I can't recall another Chelsea manager being so badly abused left, right, and center. You're right. Like, Conte did have that emoji done on him by Willian and whatnot, but this season was particularly very, very tough. Now, leads us off to the next scenario where we kind of touched on, the match goers and the non-match goers, and that's another issue that's sort of divided us this year. What's your thoughts on that, man?
I guess more from a macro view is just football in general. When I've spoken to, say, just older people who I know through Chelsea, and when they explain what football really means, it was more of just a community thing. Like, the factories would let off, and they would let the workers leave and go watch football. And it was something that was really tied to the community. And I understand that because, being an American, I've always been a consumer to my sports team. So I don't have that certain connection. Now, I love my team, don't get me wrong, and I root for my local team, but my work doesn't let me off to go watch matches. That it's never really been part of it. We've skipped school to go to, a Reds thing, which is huge baseball here in Cincinnati. But we don't have that certain connection. We've always seemed to be more of just consumers. So I can understand match goers who say, we're the lifeblood of the team. And I respect people who go. It's awesome. I wish I could go. You know what I mean? So for me, I think it's extremely hard for people who have devoted basically their whole life to something each way.
Nice. I think something happened in between there where the recording dropped off, but that's fine. I'll sort that out. I guess this is the issue when we've got so many people all around the world. It's tough to do these podcasts, but nonetheless, I did hear what you said, most of it. I guess what I want to say off the back of that is, it also doesn't help when people like, and we've all seen, what Rory Jennings had to say throughout the season in CFC TV, how he comes out and he says, only the match going fans have a voice and have an opinion. They go to the matches and they see exactly what's going on. All of these things further fuels the situation. So yeah, like I guess what's your thoughts on people that have that belief that, you're not one of those guys that go to the match. I go to the match and I see what's going on. I feel quite bored, when I look at, sideways passing and whatnot. How can we change this mentality? I mean, or is it something that we can't really do anything about?
That's so hard because it's almost a microcosm for life. And if you look at the way politics are, in England and here in America, there just seems like there's a monumental shift in the way people view other people and people who necessarily aren't the same as them. I talk about this a lot here just with my family that, a lot of times people say, oh, kids are so soft these days, and they're so soft. And one thing I can say is that, I can't say necessarily they're soft, quote unquote, but one thing I noticed that kids today are a lot more understanding about things than I was when I was a kid. I'm 36, and the way I grew up, the kids today, they don't care about certain things that we cared about growing up. You know what I mean? So I think it's hard really just through education. I think that sometimes, you might just meet or talk to someone and say, wow, that person has a really different view. I wasn't agreeing with them at first, but they respected me. I respected them, and we had a good conversation. And I think that when you show people things that they may not like, or when you lump everything into one group, sometimes it takes just one or two times from a specific person to say, oh, wow, I was wrong the way I thought about that. That's not really how every single person that's not from England is a fan, and they say, okay, well, you may have opened my eyes. And I think just through education and experiencing different views respectfully, I think is the best way to change anything.
Spot on, man. Spot on. That was very well said, I think. And I've been preaching that a lot in football Twitter lately, where, a lot of people, when they tweet a lot of, intellectual stuff, I've been saying, this is what we got to do. We got to keep educating. We got to keep, and you're right. We should respect other opinions as well. People that have really strong opinions, either way, whether you're Sarri in, Sarri out, whatever the case is. I think, we should be educating when one goes too extreme to the other side, and bringing some commonality, I suppose. So, no, absolutely appreciate that. Now, I want to talk about the last piece of this great divide, before we get into the final segment, is philosophy versus pragmatism. That's another thing that's sort of divided us this season. What's your thoughts on, we all know Sarri is a philosopher, but we've seen that there are times where you probably need to be a little bit more pragmatic as well. So what's your thoughts on, this particular genre?
I see both sides, and I think the one thing I will never understand is, well, people will pick one and say, well, this is the right way to do it. I've seen Mourinho win. I've seen Pep win. There's been great teams that have done it different ways. So I don't think there's a right or wrong way to do it. For me, the reason why I went to the switch and wanted to do more of a philosophy is there's a few things. First, we have an academy, and there are a lot of good players. There are a few great players who I think that can make it for Chelsea first team and actually be stars. I think in the lower divisions, the kids play a more possession style. So I think that if we were to go with that, I think it would work better to integrate the youth into the system. Two, the way Chelsea is ran is different. When we were bought by Roman, he came in and just bought all the best players. Well, necessarily, we're not going to do that right now. So I think that switching styles is another way of recruiting players. You look at City and everyone says, oh, they're destroying football, but they buy players that are like a 40, 50 million pound price, and they kind of grow them. They weren't world-class when they got there, but they have world-class talent. And I think that can attract certain players. So for me, I just kind of wanted to get away from the 1 year, let's win at all costs. We'll sell the youth guys to fund to buy ready-made players. I was trying to go away from that and build a style and have a system. And that was my main reasons for wanting to go away from the pragmatism, because it does work, and we're not denying that. But there's drawbacks to it. And with Sarri's philosophy, there's drawbacks to it as well as the main point. So I don't think there's necessarily a right or wrong one. It's just what works best for you going forward. And I think that would work best for us going forward.
No, makes sense, man. I think, I've said it as well that for me, philosophy is like the base of the building. You need to start off with a philosophy first. And then once that philosophy sort of embed into the club, for example, Barcelona or Ajax this season particularly, I know they've been doing it for a very, very long time, but, it's in their DNA, once a particular philosophy is in your DNA, and which is what Pep is doing for Man City now, after that, you can tweak and you can be pragmatic. And yes, you're right. No particular way is right or wrong. You can start off being pragmatic, like Jose Mourinho was, who's more of a pragmatic manager than a philosopher. Um, but as you said, a philosophy allows you to, bring the players from the academy, have that grassroots connection, and but this takes time, and this is where fans just need to relax a bit. And I know we've been winning championships every second year and whatnot, but we just need to calm down and allow for this thing to be in our DNA, and then we can start seeing more pragmatic, approach once the players are accustomed to the way we play. Cool. All right. Well, thank you heaps for that, Mark. Now, I want to go into the final segment, which is a very exciting segment for me. I've just started doing this. I thought, just to spice things up a bit. We talk about a lot of serious stuff. Might as well talk about some less serious stuff, and get a bit of fun and giggles going on. What do you reckon?
Sounds good to me.
Brilliant. All right, mate, I'm going to ask you, I want to see how your knowledge is of our season. We both know we've been watching the games together. We're always in the group chat, when the match time's on. So we know we've been watching the matches. So I'm going to ask you some questions about our matches this season. Could be a mixture of Europa League, could be a mixture of, the Premier League. Just some basic questions. Who scored the goals? What were the scores? So you ready for it?
Let's go.
Cool. All right. Okay. First question. In the let me pick up a nice one. Here we go. Okay. 13th of the 1st, 2019, Chelsea played Newcastle in the Premier League. What was the score?
You said it was in January 13th of the first.
That is correct.
That was actually my birthday.
Oh, wow. Happy birthday for back then.
Thank you. Let's see. I remember the first match we won 2-1 away. So that would mean the second match was at home. I believe we won that one as well. Was it 1-0?
We did win, but it was 2-1. It was 2-1 again.
Wow, we won 2-1 both times. Okay.
That's right. Nice one. Okay. Next question, a Europa League one. Let's see how your knowledge is for Europa League. 15th of the 2nd, 2019. So 15th of February, we played Malmo away. What was the score?
4-0?
It was 2-1.
Jesus.
The return leg at home was 3-0.
Okay. I knew we blew them out one time.
Yes. Premier League question for you.
Those Europa ones are tough. I usually have to watch at work or listen at work, so I can't pay attention as much, unfortunately, as the weekend matches.
That's fine. Premier League question then. We played Tottenham Hotspurs on the 28th of February. We won 2-0 that match at home. Who are the scorers?
Pedro. Who scored the second one? Let me say Hazard. Or was it Conte?
Very good guess with the Pedro. I'm really, really proud about that. But the second one was the own goal by Kieran Trippier. Do you remember how he passed it back? Can't hear you, Mark. Still there?
Can you hear me? I'm sorry. I accidentally muted myself. Yeah, I remember that now. Yes, I do. I remember that now.
All right. 2 more questions and we'll finish it off. This one's a good one. Premier League match again. This was on the 4th of the 3rd, so 4th of March. We played against Fulham away. Do you know the score and the scorers for that match?
Away. I believe we won. Was it 3-1?
It was 2-1.
2-1. Okay. Jeez, Fulham away. God, these games all run together now. Hmm. Let's see.
I'll
Did
give you
Conte
a
score
hint.
in that game? Was it
I'll
from
give you,
midfield, Conte?
no, not Kante, but someone else did score from midfield. It was a really, really nice goal by this individual.
Barkley?
It was Jorginho.
Jorginho?
Jorginho
Oh,
with
that's
that
right. Was
nice
that
goal.
his game he scored? Okay. That's right. God, I'm doing horrible.
And Higuain scored the first one, and Fulham
Okay.
equalised, and Jorginho then took it away. All right, last question. Last question.
I
Let's
got to
get
get this
this.
right.
Yeah, let's get this. Um, these are some of the more recent ones. Let's look at some of the more recent ones. Chelsea versus Brighton, 4th of April. What was the score, and who are the goal scorers? You got to know this, brother. This was one of the really, really good games.
Brighton. Oh, that was Ruben and Dave offside.
No, Ruben Loftus-Cheek is right. Eden Hazard had a really good goal as well. Uh,
I'm thinking of the wrong team. I'm thinking of Neil Warlock. That's what I was switched. I've got the wrong team, wrong relegation fodder.
we won 3-0. Giroud scored first. Hazard scored on the 60th minute, and Ruben Loftus-Cheek scored 63rd minute. We completely annihilated them. 69% possession was one of the better ones. But you know what? No one's ever going to talk about that match. Everyone's always going to talk about the matches that we've been doing poorly in. So
There was a good one against Huddersfield there in the mix of all the uproar we had as well. I remember. I think it was like 5-0.
absolutely right. Cool. Well, man, thank you so much for joining us in the podcast. This was actually one of my most favorite episodes, man.
Thank you.
Really, really good to get some insight from you as well. To appreciate it. Well, have a great day. Do you have any messages for your followers or anyone in particular?
Up the Chos!
Nice, man. All right. Have a great day.
Have a good one.